Life after Microsoft Windows. Cutting the cord. Linux. Day 80. Forced back to Microsoft? I hope not. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of misty morning and focus, that zing, that bergamot. So good. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a Microsoft day. It's a Linux day. Day 80. Can you believe it? Life after Microsoft Windows. Cutting the Cord series is still going. We are on day 80, guys. Day 80. Now, this video is going to be a little bit more relaxed. We're going to hang out. I'm going to show you my screen. I'm going to tell you what I did, what I didn't do, what worked, what didn't work, why I almost had to go back to Windows. Before I get into it, I just want to say if you're new here for the Life After Microsoft Windows series, the reason why I'm doing this is I'm seeing if I can cut the cord from Windows completely, cold turkey. I've done it for 80 days. Almost a failure. Hang in there. I'll let you know about it. The reason why I was breaking free from Microsoft Windows, because a lot of you guys informed me that Microsoft was getting even more like spyware than it's always been. It's just a bloated mess anyways. I don't like it, but it's kind of like you have to use it because all of these software packages use it and require it. It's almost something that's like forced on you. Almost like Adobe, right? I did the Life After Adobe Cutting the Cord series for the same reason, because a lot of my teachers back in the day said, listen, if you don't learn Adobe, you're not going to be a professional. And I said, I don't know if that's the case. 5 years now has gone by and I've never used an Adobe product since. I'm still a professional. I am a DP, a director of photography. I do video, photo, audio, all kinds of stuff. And I only use alternatives to Adobe. Nothing that is an Adobe product. Now, I'm trying to do the exact same thing for you guys, but for Microsoft Windows, because Windows ended up doing this thing with Recall, and now with their Copilot Plus and all this stuff, they're forcing you into this stuff that is just so inherently evil, in my personal opinion. The way Recall works is it takes a snapshot continuously of your screen every 2 to 3 seconds. Then it takes that data, uses your processing power to boil it all down, and then ships it off into the web someplace that Microsoft can see it and use it. And I don't know what the heck they do with it, but they're doing something with it. And can you imagine everything that they get if every 2 to 3 seconds they're taking a snapshot of your screen and then using some type of AI and boiling it all down for them? I mean, they have everything. They have every site that you go to, everything you do, how many minutes you're in, every single application, password. They have everything, right? They're taking a snapshot. Anyways, a lot of you guys said, listen, even though I can shut that Recall off, I'm done with these people. And that's why I made this series. So this is where Windows has sat for 80 days. But as of last night, I almost had to put this back in. That's what this video is about. So, what happened? Well, you know that some of my products are shirts and hats and things like that that have a design or a logo on it. A perfect example is, let me see, this one. Tea Time, right? This is what it looks like. Okay, this is a transfer piece of tape. You can put it onto a shirt or on a hat. You can heat sink it in, and there you go, right? Same thing with this one. I did my megabit little guy. I normally would say megabit down here. This was just a test sheet that I printed. There's my megabit guy. Now, I cut out normally about 20 or 30 at a time of the different pieces of artwork. And once again, you can purchase these over on JCristina.com. Go into the shop and you'll see all of these shirts and whatnot with these different designs on them. Now, these designs are hand done by me. And what I do is I design them on the iPad, and then I take that picture, that JPEG or TIFF or whatever, I bring it into the computer, and then I turn it into a vector. And then that vector graphic I use to plot it out or to cut it out using the cutter. So, long story short, we were using a piece of software, Silhouette piece of software, but it's only made for Microsoft. And we know that many of these companies, they don't like making Linux versions. Half of them don't even like making Mac versions these days, right? Because they're lazy. It's not really that big of a deal, but they just simply don't do it. So I was running out of some of my designs and I needed to print off another batch. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, holy hell, I don't have Microsoft anymore. My Microsoft is here. What the hell am I going to do? So I did some research and I found on GitHub a means of using a really great application that a lot of you people probably know about, which is Inkscape. You can use Inkscape and actually plot with it. Use it on a cutter. I was like, wow, let's go ahead and give this a shot. And that is what I did. I want to show you what I did so that you can do it yourself if this is something that is of interest to you, and the process that went on behind it. Because once again, you can go and very easily just switch over to Microsoft Windows and do whatever you need to do and then go back to Linux. That's fine. But my idea is to be able to use Linux and not have to put this damn thing back into my computer ever again, if it's possible. If it's not possible, I'm going to tell you. Well, here's an example where I thought it was going to be a failure and I was going to have to go back to Windows to be able to do this printing, or actually this cutting, this vinyl cutting, but I didn't. Anyways, let me take you over to my screen and then I'm going to show you the website that I went to find this information. Now, if you've never been here before, this is GitHub. It is a great resource for finding code, all different kinds of code. And as you can see, there's something called Inkscape Silhouette. Now, I have a Cameo Silhouette cutter, so this is what I would use for it, but it actually works for other cutters too. So I went over here and I went down to the bottom and I looked up here, what do we need to do and what does it work on? As you can see here, it works on all of these silhouettes, and then it also works on this Craft Robo, these two different models of Craft Robo, and then another couple of silhouettes. Now my cutter, I believe, is the Silhouette Cameo 4 Pro. But the reason I'm showing you this is because this is a simple way to be able to not go back into Windows. Now we're using Linux Mint 22, which is basically Ubuntu. Now, if we click on here to see how we set it up, this is the simple steps of doing so. And that's all you have to do is copy and paste into your terminal window each one of these commands. And by the time you get down to the bottom, you've installed Python 3 USB. You've also installed Python 3 GTK 4.0 and then Python 3 pip. Now, what I did to make this extremely simple, because we can use Debian packages, .deb packages, I went over here to the releases, and this is where it shows you all of the different releases. The last one was September 12th. This is version 1.29. If we go down here, you can see 2.8, 2.7, so on and so forth. So 2.9 is the latest and greatest, so we're going to go and click on this, and then it'll tell you all of the changes, all the change notes, what they fixed, what they did. And if we come down to the bottom, you have a zip or a deb file. Now, since we're using Ubuntu, we can use a Debian file. I download this Debian file. Now it's downloaded into my directory. I already have one, so now I have two. But let's go ahead and go in there and I'll show you how simple this is to do. Let me move this out of the way and then bring in a terminal window. Now, we downloaded it into the download directory. So if we take a look at this directory, as you can see, we have two versions. This one with the one next to it is the one that we just downloaded, which is a copy of the original. So if we want to install this original, that's all that we have to do is type in sudo. That gives us administrative privileges. Then we type in dpackage space -i, and then the file that we want to install. Now that's obviously that deb file, so we type in Inkscape, let that finish. We do this, and then we do .deb. And when we hit enter, it's going to install the package. Now I've already done this. So what do we do now? Let's go ahead and open up Inkscape that we installed just a minute ago when we went through that process of copy and pasting those commands into the terminal window. Let me go ahead and open up Tea Time. This is the one that I just did. I need to cut some of these out and double click on it and you can see what it looks like. And there you go. So this is a 12 by 12. Now the reason that the layout is set up as a 12 by 12 is this. You see this mat? This mat is what we are going to cut that tea time out on, right? So this is the vinyl. It is upside down. So when we cut it, we have to cut it in reverse. So when we flip it over to adhere it onto a shirt, it's going to be right. Okay, let's get back over to the screen. So if we zoom in on this, watch what happens. You notice we can get as tight as we want onto this 6. Look at this. The edges are perfectly smooth, right? It does not get blurry. The reason that is this is a vector image, but the image that I originally drew was not vector. So let me bring in the original image. This is the way it was. This is the drawing that I originally did. Let me change this from white to black real quick. There we go. Now, watch what happens when we zoom into this one. Remember, this is a PNG. This was my original drawing. Now, these numbers are doing pretty good. We can see the edges are a little bit blurry, not that great. But now look at the clock hands. They are awful. And let's go down a little bit. And as you can see, the bottom is the same way. Look how blurry that is. So this is going to make a jagged edge. If we were to cut this on our cutter, it's going to be all jagged. So what we had to do is take this PNG and convert it into this, which is a vector graphic, which is perfectly smooth. Doesn't matter how close you get. It's always going to be perfect. So when it cuts, it's going to cut smoothly. Now, how do we do that? Very simply, we select the image that we want. We go to Trace Bitmap. Let's go ahead and set it for color. And there you go. We do colors of 8 steps of color. We smooth the corners. We could smooth them a little bit better, maybe like that. If you turn on speckle, what it does is it takes out any type of like imperfections, like little dots or something that you might have in the image. We can do that. And then we simply hit update and we can see what it looks like. And then we hit apply. Now watch what happens here. We come over here to the image and we can pull away from it. And now we have 2. One is the PNG and the other one is the vector. Let's look at the difference. So if we zoom in here, we can see that this at the top is blurry, whereas this one here is not. But look at all the little edges. We don't want that. So that's all you have to do is come in here, double click, and we can see that it has all of these different vector points. And the reason it does is because the original image had that blur to it. We could just simply delete some of these and look what happens. It just smoothens right out, right? See that right there? Absolutely perfectly smooth on those. So it's very simple to do. You just have to make your corrections after the fact or have a better image to start with. Mine was a PNG, but if I would have used something that was even more high resolution, maybe a TIFF file, it wouldn't have made all of these points that now I have to go and delete. But in any regard, that's how you do it. Now, you know what? Let's go ahead and finalize this so you could actually see this happen. What we're going to do is we're going to print this. Remember, we did this installation of this software. What this installation did was allow for Inkscape to be able to do this cut. So exactly how does this work? That's all we have to do is go to extension, and then from extensions, go down to export. And now we can see we have send to silhouette. And we have silhouette multi-actions. Send to silhouette is what we're going to use. That does not come with a stock build of Inkscape. Normally you get these 3. This export layer slice, you get this one and the plot, but you don't get this send to silhouette. We have that because we installed Python 3 and all the rest of the different files, and then we installed that deb file, that Debian file. So that's all we have to do is hit send, and it gives us options. So the reason why I have it on a 12 by 12 mat is because the mat that I'm using is 12 by 12. Now they have 12 by 24, they have different sizes. This is a 12 by 12, and as you can see, I put the vinyl on the top portion of it. And that's why the artwork on that page is on the top. Now, normally I would do a 4 up. So I would do one here, one here, one here, and here. So there'll be 4 printed or cut all at the same time. But this is just going to be a demo. And the reason I do this is because sometimes I'll sell 30, sometimes 40 shirts in a week. Well, I don't want to print these things or cut these things every single day, so I will stockpile them, about 10, 20 sometimes at a time, sometimes 30 of each one of the different patterns or each one of the different pieces of artwork that I've designed. So I have black vinyl and I have white vinyl, so I have to do double. So I do 30, let's say, in black, and I do 30 in white. It just makes it simple. Once again, I can stockpile them. That's all I have to do then is pick the shirt size and color that the person ordered and then heat sink it onto it. Very simple and it's quick. Once again, I don't want to do this every single day because it does take hours to be able to stockpile these. Basically, this is all that I need. Instead of me having to load into Windows to be able to use their official software, I can just simply use Inkscape and it works perfectly. It is done, and this is what it looks like. You can't see anything, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over there to the bench, weed this, and I'll show it to you in just a second. I'll be right back. And there you have it. Now, if you don't know, you could use like an X-Acto blade like this, a little X-Acto knife, or you can actually use a pick like this, like a weeding pick like this. That works out really good. So basically what you're doing is you're taking off all the excess vinyl and leaving only the image. Now we can actually peel this off of here, and this is ready to go. We can take this and put it right onto a shirt. Here is reversed, right? This goes on here, and once it's on the shirt, it ends up looking like that, right? Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. So this is what I've been doing probably for about 2 hours now. I ended up doing the installation, and then I tested everything out to get my pressures right, because remember, it's a different piece of software. So from one software to another software, you're going to use different speeds, different pressures, different depths of your knife. So I did some samples, I did some testing, and I figured out which one works perfectly, and there we go. I just showed you. It ended up going, it takes about, I would say 5 minutes to do a sheet, right around there. Also, instead of using the 12 by 12 mat, I can use the 12 by 24. And now instead of getting 4 up, I'm getting 8 up. So I can actually get 8 done. I could just walk away, go have lunch, and by the time I get back, we have 8 cut out. So it works out pretty nice like that too, if you want to get the bigger mats. So anyways, guys, I wanted to bring this to your attention because I was really getting nervous. And the reason being, I said, you know, I don't want to let you down and now move back to Billy the Kid's piece of crap software, Windows, right? How can we get this to work? And a simple Google search gave me the answer, and now I'm able to do it through Linux. And I still do not have to go to Windows for anything. Once again, Windows has not been in my machine for 80 days. 80 days so far. I'm still doing it. But as other stumbling points come up, I'm going to show you if there's a way to get around it with Linux, or if it's something that I'm going to have to get back into Windows for. I think what I would do is if I have to go into Windows for anything at this point, I would probably just do it in a VM. I'd probably just install Windows 10 on a virtual machine and then just use it inside of Linux. But we haven't had to do it so far. Once again, day 80 without Billy the Kid. Day 80 without Microsoft Windows. That is just amazing to me. Everything that I am doing is being done through Linux. I'm currently using Linux Mint 22, but I installed, I think it was about 8 or 9 different distros. If you want more information about the distros that I've tried and my journey thus far of life after Microsoft Windows, cutting the cord, I'll put a link right here. Click on that, go check out those videos. There's some really good information that will hopefully help you out. If you enjoyed this video, even in the least, throw it a thumbs up. That would be very helpful. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're not, if you are, I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. Click this little notification button here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. And if you want to say thank you for all of my hard work on this channel, There's a little thank you button down here. You can click on that, give $1 or $2 if you like. If not, that's perfectly fine. The video is still free. Consider becoming a member of the channel. That would be even better. And if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks, check them out. Go to JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books, and they are free just for you being here. Finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all my photography tools and my merch and my teas and my books and everything else. Pick something up. Help support me and my family. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, stay Windows free. We'll see you in the next one. Love you all.